This is a companion to the English translation of Social Anarchism and Organization. In this episode, Critiquing the State, Capitalist Exploitation, and State Domination. Libertarian socialism describes a future society which is ideal, but not fantastic. A socialist system prioritizes societal benefit over capitalist profit, and the use of the term libertarian implies self-management and other non-coercive democratic methods. The transformation needed in society can neither come from the market nor legislative means. So in order for the socialist revolution to be truly liberating, it must put an end to state domination in addition to capitalist exploitation. An anti-capitalist ideology would not be liberating if it was not also anti-statist, because while capitalism is globally pervasive today, statism has transcended economic systems. Capitalism did not inspire the controlling nature of the state, which throughout history has always been an anti-democratic management apparatus. All forms of the state limit and control society in favor of some at the expense of others, perpetuating inequality and facilitating exploitation. The state is a systematic propagation of inequality, and capitalism concentrates that inequality in the domain of property. Critiques of the state should be precise, about specific states, but they should also be general, about the failing of states throughout history and about statism as an oppressive ideology. As a precarious institution, the state finds its function and strength in the propping up of the status quo. While this may have always been true, the status quo is an evolving force, and the modern state has devised a system that consolidates that force by providing an outlet in society, the economy, where it is legally permissible to exploit those who are not part of the elite. Capitalism's longevity depends on constant growth and the ability to satisfy production needs. This means a reliable flow of necessary supplies and the transformation of human labor into another exploitable resource. Capitalism uses people as it uses the earth. In the modern globalized economy, this requires the consent and encouragement of states, because they manage the land, both its borders and its laws. Local and regional problems with the state could be described as uniquely characteristic. For the last 200 years or so, as interested parties in a global capitalist system, certain states have had little reason to vary much from one another. Since economic power can systematically influence governments all over the world, the rich can effectively extinguish all forms of political dissent. So the state of today is an ideal political system for the capitalist elite because it creates an international order in which a small minority are rewarded for exploiting the masses. Its official role as a neutral arbiter obscures the undemocratic, centralized authority of the state. A key difference between a fascist state and a neoliberal one is the degree to which it is made publicly explicit that the government is in favor of the most powerful interests of capital. In a fascist state, this kind of coordination between government and industry is publicly promoted as a point of pride and an indicator of superior society. However, in a state with an unregulated economy, collusion of this sort is played down because the market is free from the intrusions of the state. This veil of neutrality is a favor paid to the capitalists by the neoliberal state. Systematic privileges create enduring hierarchy. But in order for inequality to survive generation after generation, it needs individuals acting on behalf of this system, protecting it from change and preserving their own roles and privileges. Representative democracy is a way of governing which functions ideally for aspiring elites as well as heirs of systematic inequality. It establishes political power and political titles, not to mention political favors and political deceit. Additionally, since politics has fixed ends, which characterize its means, real societal transformation can only come from social engagement. And because the social level of engagement cannot guarantee power within a state system, social organizing acts as a safeguard against opportunism and co-optation of popular movements. Therefore, libertarian politics must promote and foster revolution on the social level, keeping militants and mass movements committed to strategies that build power outside of the state. If the elite occupy a central position within the state, a position that facilitates capitalist exploitation of those outside of the central leadership, then we can understand outside or periphery as synonyms with exploited and powerless. The dialectic between center and periphery can help to understand the relationship between the state and those it dominates, as well as the relationship between capitalism and those it exploits. Like a panopticon, the state holds power by keeping the masses away from the center, where they can be more easily controlled. Under such oppressive conditions, society develops a culture that specifically caters to isolated individuals who find themselves feeling like outsiders, because systematically they are. Capitalist society lacks solidarity precisely because when it is forced to survive on the fringes, coordination is easily broken up, preserving the status quo.